Hello there. I'm Liana, a full-time comic artist and writer. You might have seen my work on things like TKO Tales of Terror or Star Wars Adventures. This series is for anyone in comics, fans and peers alike. Here, I sit down and talk to all my friends in the comic industry. Welcome. Hey everyone, welcome to the TKO Among Us stream. I am joined here by 10 other players, one being our awesome TKO marketing PR person, Shannon, who helped throw all this together, and one, Brent, my Patreon mod. Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
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 How about we do a little bit of introductions? Steve, do you want to start us off?
Sure. My name is Steve Fox. I am a writer and editor, and I wrote Night Train for the TKO Shorts series. I'm also the co-creator of Razor Blades, the horror magazine. I'm the editor on Department of Truth. I used to run Paste Magazine's comics section, and I've got a number of projects coming up with Aftershock and Oni and a few other places. So I'm all over the place these days.
Literally killing it.
I'm trying.
Ricardo?
Hey, I'm Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. I'm the artist on TKO's upcoming book, The Pole, with Steve Orlando and Triona Farrell and Thomas Maurer. I also work with Steve on Razor Blades.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm gonna kill a publishing house tonight.
Incredible.
Hi, I'm Fabs.
Also a comic artist, LOL. No big deal.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm also a comic artist.
And animator.
I'm not an animator. I don't animate.
I'm Peter. I am an animator. I went to school for comics, but then I abandoned that shit and became an animator. So I'm humbled and amazed to be around so much comics talent. I'm also streaming at twitch.tv/wizardhole. Thank you for having me here, guys.
Yes.
Ricardo, I love you.
Oh, I love you too, buddy.
So exciting that friends could come hang out.
My name is Tom Riley, and I'm just here to have a good time with my
Who
friends
invited
and play
you?
Among Us.
I'm just kidding.
You didn't. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be here.
No, you
I'm a
totally
comic
are.
artist. I draw comic books.
I'm here, right? You can hear Joe.
Yes, we can hear Joe.
Hooray.
Hey, it's Joe!
Hooray for Joe being here.
You made it, man.
I did. I still don't know what I'm doing. You know, like in like the grand scheme of things as well as this.
Have we missed anyone? Is there anyone else?
I'm Kat Fox. I work in comics too, but I'm not a comic artist or writer. I just kind of manage them. And I also do cosplay stuff.
This big chaotic energy.
Everybody. Woo.
I guess I'll just watch the stream.
I'm so stupid, and now I'm trapped. The problem is that I'm so stupid.
Never vote for someone named Big Hoss to be the alien. This is too genuine.
Yo,
that
that
already?
was fucking quick.
Oh.
How am I not the first dead?
I'm pretty sure Steve did it. I don't know.
I
right?
haven't figured out how to activate anything yet.
For Peter and Big
Why do you
Hoss.
vote already?
So what you're saying is we can't vote until we all discuss, right?
You shouldn't. It just looks suspicious. It's also helpful to like pay attention to people you think are maybe the imposter, like who they're not voting for. Stuff like that. It's just like, I just play this game a lot.
I can vouch for Peter for Big Hoss.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd seen Tom Big Hoss a little earlier. Yeah.
I can also say I saw Fabs waiting for Twitter to watch me and didn't kill me. We went to the back, which would have been a really tasty place to murder me. Cool.
I think I'll just skip votes
This is
so that
probably
like
the
I'm gonna
easiest
skip
one.
my vote.
get like more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I do like the mystery of who is player. Just,
Yeah.
I think somebody asked who is player, and then it was like, okay, we're starting the game right now.
I'm just looking at the map.
That's what that's for.
Instead, you can still do your tasks.
Yeah.
This time I found the dead body.
Oh,
Where?
somebody killed Tom.
Where's the body?
Where was the body?
The lower right-hand corner of the map.
Near the engines, did it look like?
It looked like the bottom right corner of the map.
I'm watching you, Joe.
The last person I saw was Ricardo, I think. But it wasn't close. I passed him on the way.
I'm like finally getting to know the map, which is great. So,
How do you do tab?
yeah. Oh, is it when you go up to something and it's like lit up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I played this game with you. I think you're the
I know, I
fucking imposter.
sucked. No.
You're hella sus. all my tasks.
Where'd you see him, Ricardo?
Yeah, it's Liana.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I did a task there in admin, and all three of us were there. I left, and I was like, I'm gonna go back in here to just come back into the room, and Liana was leaving, and
Okay, I knew it. She was playing too dumb.
Liana, what do you have to say for yourself?
Deceiver.
I say I did not do it. I did not. I cannot lie. How am I supposed to lie? I'm so bad at this game.
I've been there.
Real good.
Gavin's here.
Now there's only one, so things are out of balance.
Wow.
Were you just coming here to kill one of us? Are you trying to vent? What are you doing over here?
It's Steve. I was in security. I was watching security. I saw Steve walk up, cut player in half. I sprinted as fast as I could back to the cafeteria so I could slam that button. I saw Steve on the way back, so it was a little scary, but his cooldown was down. But it's Steve. It's time for Steve to go in the vacuum.
Yeah, I'm putting that suspicious.
And then in that case, we would vote for you next.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good job.
WD. It's gonna be like.
Where's Liana was the killer? She's wearing the killer mask.
That was for Halloween, so.
Sure. Halloween killing. What am I?
Yeah. Well, now we're in thanks killing territory.
That's too accurate.
You know what? I'm not even gonna say it.
Not to dive into current events, but red to blue.
Puppy dog on the stream.
Oh. I got time to change my outfit.
What?
The question for Steve is, how did you end up writing for TKO?
Actually, if I'm being completely honest, there was a lot of like right place, right time, because I interned for Marvel Comics a decade ago when Sebastian Gerner was an editor there, and when James Tynan reached out to me about potentially editing Department of Truth, I reached out to Sebastian for advice on getting into like the freelance editing game. And in the same conversation, I was like, oh, I'm not trying to like backdoor pitch you to TKO or anything. And he was like, oh no, that's okay, you can. And then I did.
That is awesome.
Every single thing I've done in my career has been like, yeah, I knew someone 10 years ago, and then I talked to them at the right time.
Could I bother you to explain just a look really, because I'm sure you've done it a million times already, but I'm actually kind of interested in the basis for Night Train, because I read the synopsis about I think there's like a younger sibling not going to bed and having some mysterious train appear to take him away. Could you elaborate on this a little bit more?
Yeah, so Night Train is a short horror story, and it involves a son who his parents have a new baby, and they live in a small apartment under an above-ground train. And I live in Astoria, Queens, and we do have a big above-ground train, which thankfully I don't live too close to, so I don't have to hear it. But I just get a lot of my like small ideas when I'm on a run or on a walk around the neighborhood. And so I had this idea for living under the train and just being so anxious about the noise. Actually, it's the Long Island Railroad, but the in train is closer to me than that. So I had this idea, and the story itself is more about the anxiety of having a child and the anxiety of having a family. I mean, I'm a 30-year-old gay man, and my boyfriend and I don't plan to adopt anytime soon or ever. But I think it's just kind of the anxiety of bringing a new life into such a tumultuous world. So I filtered that into this horror story about if you do have this new baby and you are stressed about this experience, and then someone gives you some sort of out, a supernatural out, do you take it or not? So that's kind of where it came from.
I also wanted to ask what your experience so far on Department of Truth has been, because I read the first issue. It's real good.
I love it.
It's been great. James and I have known each other casually for a couple years, and when he needed someone for Department of Truth, Steve Orlando, the writer of The Pull, recommended me. And James and I, we had lunch and we just talked more about it, and we were really on the same wavelength when it comes to conspiracy theories and just kind of plumbing the depths of all these topics. But it has been extremely weird to work on because I joined the project last summer, and just in that year, so many of the things that we were talking about as these crazy fringe conspiracies have become like endorsed by sitting congressmen and congresswomen. So it's been kind of eerie to see. I tweeted something a while back like, can you all please stop making this book so relevant. Like,
I got bad news for you, by the way, Steve. It's official now that there are more members of QAnon in the GOP right now than there are, I think, minorities.
it doesn't surprise me, but that especially has been super weird. And just as we do each issue, trying to figure out like that perfect balance of referencing real world events, because we didn't want to come up with all these like, or I should say James didn't want to come up with all these proxy organizations. Like, we're not going to have W instead of Q, you know? But since it's become so mainstreamed, we do have to kind of like thread the needle and not get a hit put out on ourselves. But it's been an amazing book to work on, especially Martin Simmons, the artist, is just doing like the work of his career. He physically painted the first couple issues, and now he's doing like a digital physical mix for the fourth and fifth issue. We have amazing guest artists coming on. Elsa Chaterier, I can't pronounce her last name, unfortunately.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, the artist of November. And then I don't think we've announced our second guest artist yet, but he's very cool. And I think people are going to be really excited about it, especially once they see the cover he cooked up for his issue. And then Aditya is just like lettering the hell out of it. So everyone is like working at the best of their abilities for this book, and it's great to have had such a strong response.
Cool. One question here from Rita Murda is, how many time does it take to complete an issue? Script, art, coloring, lettering, etc. And I think it's a continuation for the polls conversation here.
I can only speak about how long it takes me to draw something, and I'm on the slower side of the spectrum, so it takes me a while. Like a 20-page comic takes me around like 5 to 6 weeks to draw. It takes me like 1.5 days to draw a page, so it takes me a while. There's artists that are much faster than me. Stuff like that.
Do you double back on your work? Do you like, so I could have done that differently, or I want to, because I know every artist has their own version of that, but I don't know if it comes through with you or not.
Yeah, all the time I like about like doing stuff over, but you usually don't have the time to actually do that. So if you kind of like have to go with what you got.
Cool. No, that's cool. I guess this is kind of an open question, the second question, but we'll start with you, and maybe the others can address it as we talk about some of the other works here that we're discussing tonight. But how do you feel working with TKO? Have you been enjoying it? And I guess you can't say anything negative considering who's in the audience.
No, it's honestly it's been really good experience. The clarity between like the entire creative team and like from the top to the bottom just is something that you don't really get in other publishers. Sometimes you don't get to talk to either the letterer or the colorist as much as you'd like to, or at all. So that was really good to experience. And then as well, like it was very easy to talk to everyone. And then what I appreciated the most was the marketing that they put in the book. Once it was done, like something like this, it goes a long way, and you know, nobody else is doing like little things like this to like connect with the comic book community and with potential like fans or people that want to buy the book. Like all the assets that they produce for us that we can sell, like that we can show on social media and stuff like that. I haven't gotten anything like that kind of support once I finish a book from any other publisher that I've worked with. And I think that's like really important because some of the money that we make from these books is from royalties. And if the publisher isn't marketing your book and stuff like that, if you're a creator that doesn't have like a big name or anything like that, it's hard to sell comics. Like selling comics is really hard. So having TKO just constantly sharing our work and making it easy for people to buy this book, because it's one of my biggest complaints about comics is how hard it is to buy comics. Like it's really hard to buy comics if you're not a fan who is in the know and just loves going to comic book shops is tough.
Yeah.
The fact that they have a web store in general is really huge. And I totally agree with what Ricardo said in that all the assets that they provide, and even like Shannon dropped everything and like had a meeting with me because I was like, hey, I want to know what I can do to help promote our book. And also like she took the time to like brainstorm with me things that I could help with as well. So it's like back and forth, and being able to work with the publisher themselves to have these ideas. And Shannon's idea of doing an Among Us stream was so cool that like obviously Z was like, yeah, why not? It's just nice. Community building, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. As a writer to your comment, after I bought, Seeds, I got an email follow-up thanking me for my purchase. And I know it's an autonomous process, but I can't recall the last time I had a follow-up like that for a pop culture purchase, I guess. And it was kind of cool.
I'll jump in and say that from a writing standpoint, Sebastian was such a great editorial influence and getting the time and the opportunity to really go deep, even with like a shorter story, to really dig in deep and go back and forth and tweak things,
Yes.
talk about things. Like, you don't always get that opportunity. I've worked with like a dozen different publishers now, both in the kids world and in the comics world. And you'd be surprised how often it's just like a rubber stamp yes or no. And
Yeah.
in there, a lot of ways, it's infuriating to get like no editorial comments. It doesn't make you feel like everything's great. It makes you feel like you're not really being paid a lot of attention to. So getting the chance to really talk with Sebastian about things and make sure the script's in the best stage possible, make sure that once the art comes in, the script is matching the art in the best way possible. It was a really healthy and supportive experience from start to finish.
Well, speaking of, Joe didn't actually express his experience with the marketing and stuff. So, Joe, if you want to jump in on that.
I really don't have anything to add. We had the similar experience. But yeah, just the fact that everyone's been so receptive to any and all the ideas, and that we've really been able to just openly communicate with everyone up and down the chain is just really great. And sort of to build on some of the other stuff that Steve was mentioning before is Sebastian was really helpful in the scripting process in a way that really made the story the best it could possibly be.
I totally agree with that. I've said this in interviews, but Sebastian and Joe are going to be one of the reasons why I've formulated myself as a writer. So I'm forever appreciative.
She's Destroy, you and Joe worked, collaboratively on that. But now you got to co-write Seeds. And I was just wondering, what was that like, shifting into being able to co-create a narrative structure from the illustrator side?
I gotta be honest, one of the few reasons why I agreed to do it is because I knew that I could just convince Joe to let me be, I'm baby writer, so help me with everything. It was great. Well, we already had like this we talked all the time because She Said Destroy, so it's like, why not? Like at the time, him and I worked together so often that it just felt natural to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna write this together.
Something that I also wanted to touch upon that I really like about TKO, what they're doing, is that since it's not like the books are coming out like every month, you can tell that the level of care that's put into each story and book is really special, and you can see how much work it goes into it, and that like the creators aren't just hustling to get something done. They're doing it. We all had like the perfect amount of time to put out our best work out there. We weren't like, at least I wasn't, at least like people on our team, like we weren't like killing ourselves to like get stuff done. And you can tell with just the level of quality of the books and just how they look.
I get a Criterion Collection vibe off of the presentation, marketing wise.
I was talking to friend of mine about it. I'm really excited to have a book like this come out, like the box set, like how it looks like the only time that like in comics that you get like a book of this quality published is usually if you're like a Frank Miller or somebody like that, and you're like 60 years old now, and now they decided to publish like a hardcover edition of like something that you did ages ago, so having something like this come out with my name on it that looks this way is amazing.
I want to thank everyone again for coming. Be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands. Love you all. Thank you so much.